Well, I think really the reason why we started 3 Cubed is because there's a decline in commercial leases. People really can't afford it, and it's getting more and more difficult to start your own business and to go and rent a space like that. So having that membership-based pricing where it's $100, $200, $300 a month rather than a $1,200 lease, it really opens up that to a lot more people that normally wouldn't be able to.
Welcome back to the COS Business Podcast, the #1 podcast in Colorado Springs.
Today, our highlighted sponsor is Dream Accounting Solutions. That's dreamaccountingsolutions.com to check them out.
Awesome. Well, today we have a very special guest, Kaitlyn Gardner. Nice to meet you with 3 Cubed Coworking, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Yes. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. We've actually hung out with you because we did a photo shoot at your co-working space a couple months back for our client Home Day, which is, again, another sponsor of the show. But you were so welcoming to welcome us on and show us the whole space. Like, my goodness, it's so beautiful what you guys have done with that space. So,
thank you.
Yeah. Before we get into that, tell us a little bit about you. Like, where are you from? Are you from Colorado Springs originally?
No, so I'm actually from a little town called Branson, Missouri.
Ah.
Yeah, so I moved to Colorado almost 10 years ago now. So it definitely feels like home. I've been here since I've been an adult.
Nice.
Yeah.
Branson, Missouri, next to your neck of the woods?
Oh, yeah. Well, kind of. I mean, we kind of talked about it the last time we were together, and it's the place where anyone in anywhere in Missouri will go to, you know?
Yeah, it's a vacation for people that can't afford to fly to Florida or out of the country.
Yeah,
for sure.
There's the lakes out there are amazing. Like, it's a really beautiful landscape.
It's beautiful. Yeah. It's like a hidden little spot.
There's a lot of float trips, you know, which is great. It's north of Bentonville, which is where Walmart is headquartered at.
Oh, cool. Is that Ozark Lakes or what's the lakes over there?
Yeah, okay. Ozark Lakes.
Not Lake of the Ozarks, which is in the center of Missouri, actually. It's confusing, actually.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But you have the whole Ozarks in that area. Like, it's like the top of the Ozarks.
Yeah.
It can get confusing because you have the Lake of the Ozarks, which is not the Ozarks.
No, I think some of them connect somewhere in the middle, but there's maybe 4 different lakes.
Oh, very cool. Do you miss the water then? Because obviously,
yes,
that was landlocked state, but there's lakes everywhere over there.
There's lakes everywhere. You can see it from almost anyone and everyone's house as well. So coming here and seeing the things that people in Colorado call lakes is a little disappointing.
Yeah. Yeah. The best thing we have is we've been up to Fort Collins and Loveland area a couple times, and there's lakes everywhere. They're not very big, but they're decent size over there. But there's 50, 60 all in that little area.
Yeah,
which is kind of cool. But Colorado Springs, if you know of a lake, everybody probably knows that same lake because there's 3 or 4, you know, in this spot. But that's awesome. Did you grow up on the water as well, or?
Yes, I did. So we had a house right on the water. So we would go down there every summer, tubing, jet skiing, all sorts of fun stuff. So that is my second home in the water.
Yeah. Well, we have Pueblo Reservoir here. I know it's a little bit different, but have you been out there or explored anywhere in Colorado specifically as far as lakes?
I have. Honestly, it makes me a little nervous to go out on a boat on some of those smaller lakes, but I've mostly done kayaking and tubing and that sort of stuff here.
Oh, that's kind of nice. Yeah. That's what Colorado's known for, right? Paddleboarding and kayaking and everything too.
It's a little bit more relaxing, which is nice.
That's awesome.
Well, not the whitewater rafting though. I wouldn't think that would be relaxing. It was just a little different.
I might be insane, but it is kind of relaxing.
Oh, interesting. I've never done it. Yeah. So.
You did do that before?
One time.
Me too.
Time. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty insane.
It's scary, but also just kind of move with the water, and it was fine.
For sure.
Yeah, we had a group of 6 people, and we had to go against a tide. It was a category, I don't remember, 4. So it was a big tide. Or rapid around, I don't remember what it's actually defined as, but we smacked right in. When you smack into a wall, it's a mountain, so it's pretty insane.
I don't think the one I went on was that insane, so that's probably why I found it relaxing.
Yeah, it's so cool. And again, we're a couple states we're talking about here, right? But there's vast differences. So your upbringing up there in Branson, Missouri, did you grow up with entrepreneurs in your family, or where did that whole thing start for you?
Not really. So I think my drive to have my own business and start my own things kind of came from a lack of wealth. My family is full of very hard workers, but nobody really ever had their own business or built a successful business, I should say. So just kind of growing up in trailer park kind of areas in Branson made me want to immediately move out as soon as I turned 17 and buy an RV and come to Colorado and try to make something of myself, I guess.
Did you buy an RV too?
Yeah, I bought an RV at the age of 17 and drove to Colorado, and then it broke down in the Springs, which is why I'm here.
Oh, wow. What was the plan?
The plan was to just kind of travel around, and I only made it as far as Colorado. So I got 2 states over and ended up falling in love with it, made a group of friends, got a job, an apartment, all that sort of stuff. And now this is home.
That's insane. I never knew that part about you. So I had a tiny house festival I used to do. This is the first year I didn't do it. But I mean, people would be bringing RVs. They did van life. They did schoolies, so school bus conversions as well. And so we would showcase people who built them professionally. And then we'd actually showcase people who were living in them full time. And then they would expo them at the festival too. So we, like the people that we met, Andrew got to actually interviewed a lot of them because he did like the walkthrough tours, which are like the most popular videos of the whole festival, which is awesome. And it was that movement like has been a big part of my life for 10 years now. So like when you say bought an RV and decided to say screw it and go off and do your own adventure, you should hear some of their stories of like where they were stranded or like all their horror stories. It's just
it's not nearly as glamorous as the videos that you watch before you actually do it.
For sure.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break and thank our sponsors.
Storybook Destinations. Storybook Destinations makes planning your magical Disney vacation effortless. From Disney cruises to Disneyland and beyond, they handle all the details so you can focus on the fun. Visit StorybookDestinations.com to start your adventure. That's StorybookDestinations.com.
Pinnacle Advanced Primary Care. Skip the healthcare hassle with Pinnacle Advanced Primary Care. Direct primary care for a simple monthly fee, putting health first. No insurance needed. Experience personalized care that's as unique as every individual. Visit PinnacleAPC.com to learn more. That's PinnacleAPC.com. Franchise Succeed.
Grow any business with Franchise Succeed. From development to expansion, turning small businesses into national brands through franchising. Start scaling up with a free consultation at franchisesucceed.com today. That's franchisesucceed.com.
Planet Duct. Breathe easier with Planet Duct, Colorado Springs' premier air duct cleaning service. Powerful vacuum trucks rid homes of allergens and dust. Clear the air by visiting planetduct.com. That's planetduct.com.
Epic Eyewear. Elevate style with Epic Eyewear. Innovative designs meet unmatched quality, ensuring a great look and better vision. Discover your next pair of shades at epiceyewear.com. That's epiceyewear.com, spelled EPOCH eyewear.com.
And we're running a special discount right now, Andrew. It's COSBP 15 for 15% off your
15% off your freaking order at epiceyewear.com. We're wearing the sunglasses right now. If you're watching, listening on the audio, definitely check out the video so you can see and check out how epic they are. EPOCH
eyewear.com.
Eyewear.com.
Awesome Home Services. Awesome Home Services provides reliable electrical, plumbing, and HVAC services in Colorado Springs and surrounding areas. Whether you need emergency repairs for routine maintenance, they're available 24/7 to keep your home running smoothly. Visit awesomeservice.com. That's awesomeservice.com. Or give them a call at 719-370-0911 to schedule your service today. Now we will get back to this episode.
Yeah. So when you got here, your RV broke down. What was your first thoughts? Like, how did you move forward through that and then end up eventually staying here?
Well, I had already been here for about a week, so I had started making friends. The RV, it would occasionally run, but it wouldn't go more than 5 miles without dying. So there's really no traveling at that point. I immediately got scared and went to the library, made up a resume and printed it out. At that point, I was like 17, 18, didn't have really any work experience other than like the restaurant industry. So I printed out my little resume and walked around old Colorado City and passed it out until I got a job.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
This is 2014 then, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, even 10 years ago, the Springs or even OCC, all those areas were vastly different than they have been over the course of the past 10 years. Like the cities exploded and, you know, development and everything too. So like explain a little bit more about like what you're looking for. It sounds like you were just looking just to find something that would make it at least survivable out here, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was going into any restaurant, coffee shop, any entry-level sort of job that somebody would give a teenager and give them a resume and say, I'm a hard worker, please hire me. And I ended up working at La Baguette maybe like 2 days later. Yeah.
Dude, La Baguette's awesome.
Yeah.
People really notice that though. Like if you're going out there and like it's easy to get a job if you are really dedicated, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm sure some people might disagree, but I disagree with them.
I agree as well. I don't.
Yeah. And then I think back then, because I used to go, I never went to La Baguette, but there used to be a wine bar upstairs from La Baguette. I don't know if that was there when you were.
It's the same owner actually. So all of the food and stuff that they serve there is from La Baguette. So I worked actually right behind that little wine bar. I did the pastries and croissants. So
cool.
I made those probably while you were in there eating.
Oh, very cool. How awesome. Well, that's a crazy story to like coming to Colorado Springs. I mean, everybody's got like Andrew's got an interesting story too of like, I don't know if you necessarily wanted to move here, but you stayed here, right? Like,
yeah. I didn't plan it to stay here when I moved out here. I actually had visited here a year before I even was here working for like a few months, and it was just temporary. But none of that was like, I was like not thinking I was going to live here ever. It just happened.
Dang. So talk to us through all that. So you're working at La Baguette, and then so like talk to us like all the way working through maybe a couple more jobs, and then starting to scratch that itch of entrepreneurship. And where does that come into play?
So I worked at La Baguette for a couple years, eventually ended up having kids and stayed home with them for a few years, but I wanted to kind of keep that a little bit of income coming in at least. So I started making wedding cakes and pastries and things from home and selling them. I did that and occasionally cleaning houses until about 2020 when nobody wanted their houses cleaned and nobody was getting married. So they didn't need a wedding cake anymore. At that point, I become a single mom and it's like, okay, we have to find income immediately. So I got my real estate license and started doing property management, commercial and residential.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So why all of that, like property management? Like, was that like, again, real estate license and then property? They're a little bit different, right? Like, how'd you get into all that?
You have to have a real estate license to do property management in the state of Colorado.
I didn't know that.
Honestly, my thought was, I don't know if I can afford to live here anymore. Rent is so high. Real estate is so high. I don't know where to work. Who's making money? The real estate agents, the property managers. So I decided to take advantage of that rather than be a victim of it and get my real estate license and hope for the best. So I probably spent my last like $800 for the classes and the licensing and testing to get that. And it somehow worked out.
That's cool.
Yeah.
How many times did you take the test?
I took, oh gosh, I don't even remember what it's. There's a state test and like a national test. I had to retake the state test. So I took it twice.
Oh, just twice? That's not bad, right?
Yeah, not bad. I think I missed it by like one question. So it was a little like, all right.
Yeah. Well, those are interesting times too, because like rates were super low in 2020, right? I think the lowest will probably be maybe in our lifetimes, right?
Yeah.
It's probably a good time to get in. I'm sure there was a lot of demand for real estate, real estate agents getting their license and probably housing, right? In that time. Talk to us about some of those early on experiences, especially in property management. I'm sure you got like a fire hose worth of like information real quick.
Yes. So I came on board. I'm not sure if I should say the company. They ended up getting bought out, but I worked for a cut above property management and it was an explosion. So they had a property manager just randomly quit, which is why I somehow got the job with zero experience and got thrown in on a portfolio of like 500 properties with no experience and had to kind of figure that out and how to manage all of those. So a lot of angry people in that field.
Yeah. Talk a little bit more about that. What do you mean like angry people? Well, that's a lot. It's a huge portfolio. First and foremost, 500, right? That's insane.
Yeah. Well, I say angry people, but really it's like 2% of those 500 where like, if everything is going well in property management, you're not going to hear anything from anybody. So most houses were calm, but the few that were problematic were very loud about it, I should say. So the tenants are mad that their rent is going up. The owners are mad that the tenants are destroying their house. And you're the middleman in between both of those people 24/7. So it's it can be draining at times, but also very fulfilling.
What findings did you get from that situation? Because you have both of those spectrums, right? The tenants, and they kind of feel their own way about something. And you have the people who are landlords and they feel their certain way too, especially in the state of Colorado where there might be certain laws where it's harder to kick people out, right?
Yes.
And so like kind of discuss both perspectives, because I think it's important for our audience to see both perspectives, landlord versus like, obviously a lot of us are tenants, but like explain that as well.
Yeah. So I understand all of the problems from the tenant side. As a property manager, the person that is paying my bills is the owner of the property. So I have to kind of represent them a little bit more in that transaction. And it can be really hard when the owner doesn't want to do something, and you can see the tenant's perspective. We're like, this really needs to be taken care of. Like, you don't want to be a scumlord and you don't want to represent scumlords. So we were very quick to cut out any owners that didn't want to take care of their property correctly.
Yeah. Well, you said scumlord or slumlord, like those terms, that's also being used a lot right now in Aurora, Colorado regarding the apartments and everything. What are some of your thoughts being a property manager? And feel free not to say whatever you don't want to say, but give us some level of perspective there.
I don't know entirely what's going on. I know they're kind of being taken over by the Venezuelan gang members. Is that correct? Mm-hmm.
Well, that's at least the headline. So,
Okay.
Whether that's true or not is like we've discussed as a group of friends whether that's true or not. But that's kind of the
I haven't been there. I haven't seen it, so I don't know what's actually going on. If that is happening, I really hope they're able to get those people out of there. But I know that even when it's not gang members invading your property, it's really hard to kick people out legally in the state of Colorado. It takes at least 90 days.
That's insane to me. So like you're telling me like I can go and rent a place and then not ever pay a bill ever once, or maybe just put a deposit down but never pay anything after that. I can stay and essentially squat for 90 days.
Yeah. So you're going to have 1 month of no payment. You're going to get a notice, and then it's going to take 45 days after that notice to actually send you to court, and then you get sent to court, and then the judge has to make a ruling, and that's like 45 days after that. And so at that point, you're at least 90 days in, no payment, and the landlord's mad at you for putting someone in their property that was qualified and should have theoretically been able to pay that bill, but didn't. And then the owner is spending more money to try and kick them out.
Right.
So
is there like repercussions that happen with that for at least the tenant? Like, does anything hit their credit or anything like that can like at least be some level of repercussions for doing that?
Yeah, it will hit their credit. Whether they pay it or not is unknown. I mean, it depends on the lawyer that you have. There are a lot of really great property management lawyers that will go after these people, but then they're taking a cut of whatever they're able to collect on. So it's expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. And is the state of Colorado like pretty lenient? Like you say, like around 90 days, right? 45 days for to be served, and then like from there, the court date, 45 days for the judge to make a ruling. Like that's a long time. Is that pretty lenient in regards to other states? Do you know?
I have no idea about other states. I only know Colorado, and really only Colorado Springs.
Yeah. Well, that's crazy. Yeah. You have any thoughts on like, I think that's crazy how lenient that would be for someone who just, especially if they know that up front, like they know the game, like, okay, I can stay here for 90 days before anything really messes with me. That's just insane.
I think I've heard at least California is even worse, where like people can just stay there indefinitely. It seems like in some places.
Yeah. Especially if they kind of hack that system and pay a little bit, and then you reset that timeline, even if it's just a $10 payment towards that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's kind of...
So that's tips for anyone.
Yeah, don't take any of those ideas, please.
That's crazy. And so I think when we were talking before we started recording, or when we first met, like that kind of got you into your space now of Cubed Coworking, right? So talk a little bit about that story, because it's pretty interesting as well.
Yeah. So I was still doing residential and commercial property management. Our company got bought out by a big national company, and kind of didn't really have a need for everybody that was on board. Kind of started looking for other positions or potentially starting my own thing. I was able to meet with the owner of the building, Sean, who was just looking for a real estate agent to list his property. He had had it on the market for 2 years with not a single lease. So we kind of came up with, okay, well, how can we get more people in here? Because the space is very divided up. It was previously used as like not a co-working space, but the owner kind of split it up into multiple small businesses before co-working was really an actual business. So we just kind of got together and made that dream a reality, and was able to make an affordable space for people that can't really afford it, especially in like peak of COVID.
Yeah. And for a lot of our viewers who might not know, most probably do, but what is a co-working space?
So it is a shared office space directed towards entrepreneurs or people that work from home. It's a membership-based pricing, so you don't have to pay for a whole lease. You don't have to qualify for a whole lease. You don't even have to have an LLC set up in order to rent there. It gives you a professional address for Google, for your business cards. That way you're not putting your home address on something that can be kind of dangerous, and
right.
you just wouldn't want to do that. Yeah. But it provides an affordable space for young entrepreneurs and established businesses.
Yeah, and not to mention too, like freelancers, like you were saying before, all the way up to people who, like our friend Lane, who has like his own private office there, right?
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool, right? Because he's got like, and it's a nice office. So we got to figure out some B-roll or something for the office spaces that you have created there. But he's got a cool little glass office, which is pretty.
Yeah. So we're very lucky and blessed to have a space that, yes, we have those shared spaces, we have those dedicated desks, but we also have the space for somebody to keep their things there. We have 2,000 square foot suites upstairs that are available for bigger businesses if they need it. So we're really there to help everyone grow and hopefully get into one of those bigger spaces.
Then you have those open spaces too, where anyone who has a space can kind of lounge around in them, and like different vibes for different spots too.
Yeah. I tried to make it very homey, and some places are a little bit more professional and a little more clean cut, especially if you have to have a business meeting. We have those really professional conference rooms, but we also have a lot of lounge areas for anybody who's a member to just kind of hop in and read a book or take a break from working.
Did you have those like interior design skills inherently, like as a natural talent? Because like if you look at this space, it's really nice, and you can tell I like to say there's a female touch to it. Like I think masculine touches oftentimes or come off sometimes cold. Or
She also burnt the wood though too. That's kind of a masculine touch, but it's got like a very nice.
nice I didn't want to make it too feminine or too masculine, so I tried to have elements of both. That way everybody can kind of feel comfortable in the space. And
you said you burnt, like, but when I say burn the wood, like in a good way, like, you burnt, like just setting things on fire, but like there's that aesthetic. Brian actually showed me how to do that before. Our friend Brian Rutzman like does really cool stuff. But I one time burnt, so I know how to do that as well too. But like that's more traditionally more of a like a man's den kind of vibe. You would think in a lot of ways.
DIY like man cave kind of vibe. Is that what you're saying? It's done really well because you have like really nice chairs in there too. We're messing with the chairs, like rocking back on the chairs. And we'll have to post a picture or something on this episode to kind of show the vibe that we're talking about. But it's done very tastefully for sure. And you can tell there's different vibes depending on what floor you're on. And I've been in a lot of co-working spaces in Colorado Springs. I would say probably, I think there's only like one I haven't been to, or two now that I haven't been to in the Springs, but they're like less than a year old. And so it's cool to see the different types of environments people are curating. And one thing that's really cool, like Andrew was talking about, is there's open spaces for people to lounge. You also do like community events out of these spaces too, right?
Yes, we do. So we have a couple networking groups that aren't sponsored directly by us that will meet in the space. So we have WeWe, which is Women Entrepreneurs Helping Women Entrepreneurs. They meet there at least once a month, and they are a great group to have. We have a couple Bible study groups, and then we also host a few ourselves. So we have a Workspace Wednesday, which is just a free co-working day for people to come in, and everybody kind of brings either coffee or donuts, and it really is like a community-driven networking, but you can go downstairs and get some work done and just kind of hang out throughout the day. So that's our biggest event that we are currently hosting right now.
And then a book club too, right?
Potentially.
Okay. We were kind of discussing that. I don't know if you want to discuss it, but
we're going back and forth trying to see if our space will work for them. So they haven't been able to visit yet, but I selfishly really want them to join so that I have an excuse to go and read a book for an hour instead of work.
Yeah. Nice.
What kind of books are you talking about for you?
I read a lot of like fictional historic type books.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And then of course, as an entrepreneur, all the like self-help books, although I think I've burnt myself out on those. So I have to branch off and find something that is maybe more interesting and fictional.
we'd like to take a quick moment and thank our sponsors.
Celebrity DJ.
Celebrity DJ, where you get your events your way. Weddings, corporate events, and more. Let Celebrity DJ be your director of fun. Winner of WeddingWire.com's Couple Choice Award year after year with over 100 5-star reviews. Let Celebrity DJ bring your vision for your special event to life. Online at celebrity-dj.com.
That's celebrity-dj.com.
Home Day.
Enhance your company's benefit package with Home Day. Home Day offers innovative real estate solutions that make home ownership simpler and more accessible for your employees. Discover how Home Day can add value to your benefits program at gethomeday.com.
Neon Pig Creative. Bring brands to life with Neon Pig Creative. Dazzling designs and strategic marketing make businesses stand out. Spark creativity at neonpigcreative.com. That's neonpigcreative.com.
Exponential Impact. Fuel startup success with exponential impact, mentorship, resources, and support available to amplify impact. Join a community of change makers at exponentialimpact.com.
That's exponentialimpact.com.
Fast Signs.
Fast Signs can help you with all your signage and visual marketing needs. Whether you're starting a new business or just need a signage refresh, let Fast Signs help you. Make your statement. That's fastsigns.com. Cars Helping Charities.
Cars Helping Charities is a turnkey fundraising solution for nonprofits. Cars Helping Charities allows your nonprofit to accept vehicle donations, which are sold, and then the funds go to the organization. CHC is partnering with my nonprofit of choice, Mattersville, to help them raise funds through vehicle donations. Please consider donating your car to support Mattersville. CHC will pick up any car, an old clunker you have sitting in your driveway, or a car you just don't feel like selling anymore. Make sure to visit carshelpingcharities.org. That's carshelpingcharities.org. Dream Accounting Solutions. Dream Accounting Solutions provides expert outsource accounting and CFO services to include bookkeeping, payroll, and financial consulting to help you take control of your business finances.
Whether you're a small business or an entrepreneur, their tailored services keep your finances in check. Visit dreamaccountingsolutions.com to schedule your consultation and simplify your financial future. Now let's get back to the show.
Well, I mean, this space is just so cool. Like I said, we went there to do a photo shoot, and that was actually our first time there. And like, there's so many different types of aesthetics there. And like, I'm going to probably do one for my newer company, Red Mojo, there at your space too. Have you thought about, like, when you first created this space, did you think that other business would utilize it in that fashion? Or is it kind of like things are kind of starting to be formed as you see people use the space in their own way?
I think it's kind of taken a mind of its own, and I really enjoy the interior design. I didn't think I was that great at it, but we've had 4 different companies come in and film commercials and little videos in the space now. So it's been kind of taken over almost as a film studio. So
yeah, you actually acted as a model in ours that we did.
Yes.
And we give you a heads up.
I
We give
am
you like
not
a 5-minute heads
professional.
up or whatever it was, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm
Sorry
not
about
a
that.
professional, but we had PragerU and Focus on the Family come and film a documentary in the space a couple weeks ago, and that was wild. They had a full film production, like full spread of food, everything, and I'm camera on a track going around the place. So I'm like, okay. And I'm like,
Why does PragerU sound familiar? I feel like
they
I know
have, oh gosh, I don't know exactly what they do. Forgive me. It's similar to like a Daily Wire type of thing on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So they have a lot of interviews with like pastors and different stuff like that.
Okay.
Kind of like conservative based teachings or information kind of deal.
Yeah, I think it's like conservative Christian based teachings for young people.
Gotcha.
Yeah, if it's focused on the family too, I'm assuming it's probably the
Yeah.
same thing. That's big time. We almost
Yeah.
scored them as a client last year. One of
Oh,
my
really?
companies. And I was roping in Edgar and Andrew, and like, because that's such a big infrastructure. I'm like, oh my gosh, like if I'm gonna do this, it might take all of us for them all to help me
Mhm.
for something that big of a project. But they're big time. So congrats to you.
Yeah.
That's huge social proof for your business. I mean, what co-working spaces have had like a world ministry like focus on the family there?
Yeah.
That's pretty big.
It was very big. It definitely felt like a really big win. And I had to try to calm myself down whenever they initially reached out and not get too excited. So it was an honor to have them, really.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And you said single mother too, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
single mother, entrepreneur.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit more about that journey if you care to share.
Yeah, so I've been a single mom for 5 years now, so it's nothing new or scary anymore. It definitely was at first. And I think especially whenever you're looking for a job, not necessarily working on your own, people are scared to hire the single mom. So I would always describe it as I have no option other than to succeed. I have little ones who depend on me. Failure is not an option. I will find a way to make whatever I am doing work.
Yeah. 2 little ones, you said, no?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. They're 6 and 8. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. There's just something to be said about a single mother. I feel like those folks are motivated more than any type of parent or leader or anything like that. Like you said, they look up to you, and I'm sure they're taking some gold nuggets from you and seeing you work. My mother was a single mother growing up too, and she was my idol. I have a very good relationship with my father. He was kind of in and out in my life. And then there was a time when I was actually living with him in high school. So we kind of got that back with him. But like, I can tell you, like, my mom was like a go-getter. She was an entrepreneur, but she was like an executive. And I looked up to her so much because I know how hard she worked. She had like no life besides working for her kids. And so it'll come back to you in some way, shape, or form, and some good karma and blessings to you. Cause it's a hard job being a parent, let alone to 2 kids. And not only that, by yourself and doing the things that you're doing. So kudos to you for doing all that. I'm sure the challenges of that are every day, but you're able to at least overcome and put on a positive face every single day. That's awesome to see. Yeah, definitely. I really hope that they are able to see how hard I work, and not necessarily for my own, like, I want them to appreciate it, but I want them to see what it takes to be successful so that they can do that on their own when they grow up as well. So hopefully just be a good example. Right now, they both think that they're going to work with me when they grow up. So that's their plan, is to work in mommy's office. Isn't that funny? With entrepreneurs, like the kids always want to like work with or for the parent or something. That's so funny to me. Yeah. That's pretty cool. So can they pronounce the word entrepreneur yet? That's
yes, I can.
I don't think I could pronounce that until I was like 12 or something. But
you had to get a babysitter for him right now, probably, huh?
Yeah, I did.
Because it's evening time, So
yep, they always come to the office after work and do their homework. So we went to the office, did homework, and then they got dropped off with babysitter, and I came here.
Yeah. So how does that work? Like, you've been here for 10 years now, but like, have you built relationships that are like family?
Yeah. So I am very, very lucky and blessed. My sister's husband, his family is fantastic and has kind of adopted all of myself and my 2 sisters into their family, even though just my sister married in. So our pastor, Adam Gallion, I don't know if I should say his name, but I'm sure he'd like the shout out. He and his wife, Wendy, and their sons have kind of brought us in. So I have someone to call whenever I need help changing a tire on the side of the road. I feel like I have kind of built-in brothers with that family, and they're a part of the space, and they're my contractors as well. So we all kind of help each other's businesses. It's been very, very great to have them.
Where does he pastor out of? Does he have a church he pastors out of? Or?
Yeah, it's Remnant Seed Ministries in Woodland Park.
Oh, in Woodland Park?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, they all live up there, so I gotta drive up there.
Okay, and do you live up there with them too? Or?
No, I live in the Springs. I have to stay close to the office is my excuse.
Yeah.
I was going to assume so. And then when we're doing our little stock interview to prepare for the show, did I see a golden retriever? Do you have a golden retriever?
Yes, I do.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I had a golden retriever and he was my baby. They both know, like, he was my baby. I had him since essentially turning an adult, which meant when I was 18, 19 was just an idiot and just a moron. He helped me grow up very, very quickly. And then I lost him. I was 32 when I lost him. And it was like so hard. I've had close friends, like nothing was worse than losing him. But like, I always say there's something about Goldens, like I can never not have a Golden ever again because he was so entranced in my life more than just being a dog. Like if I was sad, he was there with me. If someone in my family that he loved was sad, he was there for them. And he was at my side my whole life, no matter what it was. He was my security blanket and he was just the best boy ever all the way to the end. And so I have to give you kudos to that because I'm a big time lover of golden retrievers. Is that how is it a boy or a girl?
Yes, it's a girl. Her name is Bailey. I had only had small dogs growing up. I had a little Shih Tzu from childhood. She lived to be like 18. Whenever she was put down, this dog magically showed up at my real estate office at the time, which is Bailey, needing a home. And I immediately just gravitated towards her. And I was like, I need this dog. I'm taking her home now. How much is she? Like, I'll go buy everything today. So the second I saw her, I was in love. And now she follows me everywhere. She's the little office mascot. She goes into work with me every day and just sits in her little chair because she refuses to sit in a dog bed. She has a chair in my office.
That was around 2020, huh? When you found her.
No, that was 2023. Yeah, so she's only a year old.
Oh,
Yeah.
she's like youngster.
Yeah.
Is she getting into stuff?
No.
Really?
No, every once in a while. But for the most part, like after kind of that 9-month to 1 year mark, she really calmed
Settled
down.
down.
Yeah.
My dog was like Marley and me. He was such a troublemaker, and I was such a troublemaker myself. I just could barely handle him, and he helped me grow up really quickly. And then he ended up being the best boy. He's got the sweetest girl. He's got a Dalmatian named Marcia.
Oh, really?
Oh my gosh! And she's just like she's the only. My mom's dog and his dog are the only. I don't think I've ever told you this. That remind me the most of my dog. They're like the ones that I can't. Like I gravitate towards. I'm still heartbroken, so it's hard for me to be around dogs. I can only be around. I've only been able to be around his dog and my mom's dog because they just remind me of that. Like they're like you could tell they're like an emotional security blanket for. And they like his dog loves him so much. Like he is her whole world.
Oh yeah,
and I'm not sure how your dog is, but like they're like. Yeah,
she's getting old too, so she's showing some signs that she may not be around much longer.
Oh no!
So we'll see though, but yeah.
But the sweetest dog in the world, and Andrew freaking loves that dog, and he takes her everywhere. He takes her to Plumber Park a lot. Before she got
I can't take her that much anymore because it's like the stress of the other dogs on top of she literally gets worn out within like 5 minutes, even on a cool day. So like
yeah.
Tried to get her on the walk though in the morning though, so yeah, she likes that. She's still full of life though.
Oh yeah. How's it having a big dog now as opposed to little dogs your whole life?
It's different. The amount of hair that I clean up is 24/7. So
my shirt is covered in hair, and it came off the rack like this. I was so pissed.
I think it's hidden because I have a mostly white shirt on, but I only wear black, and then I got a blonde golden retriever, so it is everywhere all the time. But it's an adjustment for sure, but now I'm fully used to it and I just love her. She follows me around 24/7 like a little shadow in the office.
Aw. Yeah. And then golden retrievers have a lot clumpier hair, so it's sometimes easier. I have a condo I bought and it was like all dark hardwood, all dark furniture, so I was like 3 times a day vacuuming up just to make sure everything is good.
I just got one of those robot vacuums, so it goes around the house and I still have to vacuum at least twice a week, but that helps a lot.
And she's good with the girls, I'm assuming too?
Yeah, she's good with the kids. They will like bear hug around her neck and she just lets them. She goes with me to pick them up from school every day. We like walk down the street and go pick them up and all the kids say hi to her and everyone loves her.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, that's great. Congratulations. I know it's like a year and a half late, but congratulations on your dog. Regarding 3Cubed, talk to us a little bit about, because let me set the stage here. Like we worked downtown he was down there for like close to 3 or 4 years downtown. And so we've seen like a lot of changes downtown, good and bad, but commercial leasing has been something that's been on a decline. I would say in most big cities or most cities in the United States. And so I know there's probably some challenges regarding like leasing and stuff like that. Is that some of the bigger challenges in 3Cubed, or has it been pretty good? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, I think really the reason why we started 3Cubed is because there's a decline in commercial leases. People really can't afford it, and it's getting more and more difficult to start your own business and to go and rent a space like that. So having that membership based pricing where it's $100, $200, $300 a month rather than a $1,200 lease, it really opens up that to a lot more people that normally wouldn't be able to. So we really want to empower those businesses to grow rather than be affected by they can't afford a traditional commercial lease.
That's a good way to put it. Do you find that a lot of the entrepreneurs working out of that space thrive being around other entrepreneurs or freelancers as well?
Yeah, there's definitely been a lot of really great connections made. I don't know where those lead all of the time, but I see people talking all the time. I see a lot more work being done. Anytime someone comes in, they're like, I get so much more work done here than I do when I'm at home, because there's enough distraction where you can go upstairs and get a coffee and talk to somebody, but you can also kind of hone in at your desk and get a lot of stuff done.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And your office is like right when you walk in, it's like right to the left of the front desk. So it's like kind of very available. What's your day-to-day look like? Talk to us a little bit more about that. Like any day of the week, what are you doing as your normal duties?
So typically I was lucky enough to just hire my first help. So I have a receptionist who will kind of greet people as they come in. So that's something I no longer have to do. My day-to-day, I typically get there around 7:30. I'll go and look over any of our platforms that we have for communication, make sure nothing has been missed, all of my emails, normal, boring sort of stuff. And then I do a lot of website tracking and SEO and advertisement. Since we're still fairly new, I'm trying to gain as much traction as possible with those things. So that's where I spend a lot of my time right now.
Some marketing for sure.
Yes.
Definitely one of the first hats an entrepreneur wears. No matter if they like it or not, right? Like you gotta get people in the door.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about that. How has that been going? What strategies have you done? I know there's like the free co-working on Wednesdays. That's a great strategy to get people in the door and at least look at the space and be like, holy crap, this is awesome. But what other things are you doing?
Yeah. So the Workspace Wednesdays have been a really great opportunity. And honestly, people can come in and see if they like it or if they don't, because I don't want people to waste their money if it's something that's not going to work for them. I've personally noticed that Google ads work a lot better than anything else. I've tried just about anything and everything under the sun at this point, but that one has been the most fruitful.
For your business or industry, I think that makes the most sense, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you think about Google, it's they're warm leads, they're intentional leads coming in. They're actually typing something in that they're searching for that they're probably interested in. So they're a little bit further down in the marketing world or sales world, the conversion funnel, right? They're more intentional folks. So it makes sense, and that's awesome that you've learned Google Ads, because like me as a marketer, that's one of the hardest things to learn.
Yeah.
Over everything.
I have fallen in love with it, where I think marketing is probably my next job. So I've been helping all of the family businesses with their marketing and Google ads and business pages. Yeah.
It gets crazy with Google ads and stuff like that. So much. Like I was licensed and professionally like took my certifications, worked for a big agency. And then the guys on our team now I'm just like, it's another language. It's things that they can do with it. It's just the capabilities of a platform that's been around for so long. It's just it is cool. And it's kind of funny because I see a lot of women liking Google. They're like a little bit more detail oriented, I feel like, than the men sometimes, which is funny. I don't know why, but they gravitate towards, you would not think, but they gravitate towards Google ads over like Facebook marketing and things of that nature.
Something about it feels like a puzzle to solve, where I'm like, okay, who's my target audience? How am I going to get there? What are my keywords? What would I search if I'm looking for the space? So trying to put myself in the customer's position is my only strategy, and I'm not a professional. So,
so I've been recently putting together a product-based business, and all the one platform, each platform has had its own. I forget the nights where I'm up for hours just trying to figure out how to get certain things right. Like even for the Facebook commerce aspect, that was a lot of like headbanging. But right now I'm tackling getting my products on Google. So like when you search on Google for these products, they actually pop up on the Google shopping page and they pop up right there and you can buy it right there. But I've been running into issues that I haven't had in other areas. Like they need specific things that you don't need for the other platforms. Like, so there is a little bit, I have noticed that Google has been a little bit more challenging to get the products on too. Etsy's the easiest one because it's literally seller based. All the other ones are buyer based. I'm actually started. I'm getting my products on Amazon as well too. So started that process recently, just yesterday.
Just some word to the wise. Product and e-commerce marketing is its own animal.
Well, I mean, I've been studying it for years, and like last year, I really dove deep on the whole e-commerce aspect towards the end of last year, and then kind of put that aside. But then I started my own manufacturing aspect of that. And so it's like, now I'm like taking all the stuff I learned about e-commerce last year and applying it to what I know now, which has been very fun,
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm very pumped about it all. Actually.
Yeah, it's super fun, learning all that stuff. And like as an entrepreneur, and you might know this too, is like, there's so much. You mentioned that you've read all the business books, or you're kind of burned down on all the business books.
Yeah.
Or like now you're learning marketing and you're falling in love with Google Ads and all the different things regarding Google. Like for an entrepreneur who's just trying to get started, like what would you suggest for them as far as like step 1 and 2 to get started with a business, especially like a co-working space? Where did they start? There's so many different avenues and things to learn. How do you narrow in the focus and help them get started?
I think my first word of advice would be to not listen to anybody that's not where you want to be. Don't be afraid, and go and look at what other businesses are thriving, what they're doing, or even ones that aren't doing well. What are they doing wrong? What would you change? And kind of structure your business off of those that are doing well and those that are not doing so well.
That's great advice. That's mimetics is kind of like the art of mimicking. That's how human beings, and he knows all about this stuff. But like the art of like learning from somebody else's success or whatever. Success leaves clues, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like when you are able to, and again, imitation is everybody imitates something.
Yeah.
So don't feel like you're stealing someone's methodology by just like seeing them doing something great and then like doing some tweaks and making it better.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how Facebook was started. Like there's other social media platforms before Facebook, they did specific things to make it more simpler, user friendly. And there's a whole nother, like, I guess, perspective they brought in to be successful, right? To take out MySpace and all the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Andrew are a little bit older, so we're MySpace people. I don't know if you're on MySpace in your day or anything.
I wasn't,
like that.
unfortunately.
That's a whole nother thing. Top 5, top 8. He knows what I'm talking about.
I just had very strict parents that wouldn't let me on the internet. So I was MySpace age, not on MySpace.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So like with the more strict upbringing, are you talking about like stricter like religious kind of upbringing, or just overall just strict parents?
Overall strict, also religious strict, like Harry Potter was witchcraft type of parenting.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I've definitely didn't. So it's kind of funny because I grew up Catholic, but very loosely Catholic. My grandfather was a part of the church and my family was, but as far as like strictness is concerned, like I didn't even know that was a thing to be like, hey, you're not allowed to watch Harry Potter. Like I was playing Grand Theft Auto in 3rd or 4th grade or whatever the heck it came out for us. Yeah. My family cusses a lot and they drink wine a lot and like they go gambling in Cripple Creek every weekend. And so like being exposed to that type of thing is definitely different. Like I feels like sometimes you might be a little bit repressed in your childhood and you might like rebel and do things in your younger adulthood to kind of try to recapture things that you might feel like you lost or anything like that. When you moved to Colorado, did you have any of those like, man, I'm finally like independent? And then like kind of, was there any like straying away from like your goals in life, or was it still like kind of really settled in on, surviving and getting on the right path?
I mean, I maybe fell away a little bit. I definitely fell away from my faith, more so in like I can survive anything on my own. I don't need God, which was a little dumb of me, for lack of a better term. I never really went like full on like party mode or anything like that. I very much just worked and worked and worked.
Yeah.
Did you stay in touch with your parents?
Yes and no. I would call them maybe 4 or 5 times a year. They ended up moving out here for a couple of years, and then now both of my sisters are here and they moved back to Missouri. So
back to Branson?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, back to Branson.
And you're close with your sisters then?
Yeah, they're like my built-in best friends at this point.
Oh, that's really cool. And so like all the sisters, you guys have a pretty good relationship with your folks, or is it kind of like at a place where like they're there, we're here, we're happy that there's a little bit of distance in between us? It makes it maybe the relationship a little bit better if there's a little bit of distance.
Yeah,
and that's okay
yeah.
too.
I think we enjoy being away from them. It's nice to go and see everyone and visit. We actually just got back from a wedding in Missouri, so I got to see the whole family, and it's nice. But I'm also like, okay, I just want to go back to my normal routine and back to Colorado, back to home.
Sure. Are you the oldest?
Yeah, I'm the
I
oldest.
can tell.
You can.
It seems like you set a movement actually. Like
yeah,
in your family.
Yeah. I'd like to think so.
Yeah.
So they all followed you out here eventually.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very cool. That's awesome. It's cool to see that you're close with your sisters and stuff like that. As we get older, it's kind of a challenge. He's got a lot of siblings too, and I see them call him every once in a while. And I don't know if you've seen enough of our episodes, Andrew has a signature giggle kind of laugh thing that he does.
Yeah, I have.
And his brother's called before, and I've heard the same giggle. I'm like, what the heck? It's just inherent in his family.
Let's call him right now.
Yeah. But it's cool. That's great. And like I said, like life's so short and fleeting. You just never know. So like those relationships are sometimes best like that. My sister and I, like, best of friends, but we can't really live together. We both know that. We're like, all right, like it's good that you're in Monument. I'm in Colorado Springs. I love spending time with you. But like our living situations are just, the way I look at my living situation is different than the way she looks at it.
She's like a decade older than you though, right?
Yeah, my sister's 10 years older than me.
I think that adds like a different dynamic to sibling relationship.
It totally does. Sister, almost like motherly in some ways when I was younger figure. And like we have a very different, I don't know if there's a big separation in age with your siblings or.
Yeah, the youngest is 8 years younger than me. So we're in very different stages. She's 19 and figuring out life and very messy and calls me for help, but it's nice to be there for her as a sister. I didn't get to have an older sibling, so I had a lot of really close friends that became like family, but it's nice to kind of be able to help her now that she's away from our parents and any sort of like normal support that she would have.
That's really cool. And it seems like you guys have been able to establish independence and your own kind of it's just different when you're out on your own and you're able to like live on your own. It's like a really good feeling, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure once you had that here, like it was like and maybe you've had that before.
Oh yeah, I had that when I had my own apartment,
Yeah,
when I was
in
19,
Missouri, right? Yeah.
And then that was with a roommate. And then when I had my own apartment to myself, that was a whole different story.
Right.
But yeah, moving out here, away from basically, you know the feeling where it's like you don't know anybody, like there's no connections. And it was amazing because I was starting my business when I came out here. I feel like I developed more connections here in the first 6 months than I did in my entire life in Kansas City, actually.
Yeah.
Because I was networking so hardcore.
Yeah.
And like I was actually able to, feel like within just a few months, like if I had got a flat tire, I knew who to call. Actually, that did happen. I did. And like I knew I had people, even though like it's like these strangers, but there was just like a love and a connection. Like I feel like I could trust them. It was interesting, like being so new to an area. So when I move to Mars, that won't happen, but I'll bring the people with me.
Just pepper that in there.
I thought about this. This has kind of been like a testing ground because I do plan on going to Mars eventually.
Okay.
But like this has been like a testing ground, just like kind of see how far you could take things, kind of, and like basically pull yourself out of your roots, essentially. And like, and I've been thinking about this recently, just in the last week, actually. The interesting thing about Mars is when we do go, we'll be taking hundreds of people with us, so those will be the new community instead of like it'll be interesting. Hopefully I'll bring some people with me too.
We mentioned some really cool things. Like one thing I'd say about this town, I've been here for 20 years, so 33, almost 34 now. Gosh, is this town will embrace you if you're an entrepreneur, especially.
Yeah.
So if you surround yourself with other entrepreneurs, it's a very like this city loves to embrace new transient talent from all over the place. And it's like so cool to see because like for him, he really did put himself out there, which kudos to him. Like he pushed himself and inherently he didn't want to like, he's more inherently like, and you can speak for yourself. He's more inherently introverted. But he pushed himself out there and he got like so embraced by the who's in the city that the fact that when I came on to the show with him, I mean, he knew more people who were movers and shakers than I did. And I was like, what the heck? I've been here for 15 years longer than you or whatever I've been at that point. And it's just so cool to see that. And so like for you owning a co-working and working the co-working space, you're going to see a lot of those people. And it's going to be really cool, say the next 5 years to see who comes into that space, whether it's focused on the family or whomever. And this helps elevate you because like, again, our network is what helps elevate us.
Yeah. I think we're really in the business of relationships, not an office space. So we are slowly building our own little community. And as lame as it sounds, we're like a little office family and everybody in the office likes to joke that there are like hidden cameras everywhere and we're making a TV show and we're all a bunch of quirky characters in that TV show. But everybody helps everybody. Everybody uses everyone's business. So we're able to refer other people. If we aren't a professional in one aspect, there's somebody else in the building that is. So
that's what's so cool about it. I just started watching the show again, The Office.
Yeah.
And it just reminded me of like all the quirky, crazy characters in that show.
That's what it feels like. I think for our like annual like opening party. We're going to do an office themed office party and
nice.
hand out Dundies to everybody. And yeah, I'm really excited for that.
Someone's got to bring a big bowl of chili, you know.
Oh,
great.
yeah.
That's right. Yeah. That's awesome. So what's next for you guys at 3 Cubed Coworking?
So we actually just opened, or we're about to open. We finished the renovations on a salon co-working space in the upstairs portion of the building. So we have individual salon suites and booths for people to rent out. We have a tattoo artist coming, spray tan artist coming, maybe a hairstylist, head spa coming. So I'm really excited to go and get my hair and nails done on my break. And I personally just started a consulting company where I'm helping people with their website, SEO, advertising. Along with the co-working, it kind of goes hand in hand. I want to help people that are in business and good at their trade, but not necessarily good at business strategy or marketing for their specific trade.
That's awesome. It's called being vertically integrated. So that's very cool, right? Because you have the space in which they lease from you, and then you also help them, you know, with their business in the early stages.
Mm-hmm.
So very cool, very smart for you to do that. I was going to ask, like, when you're starting a co-working space, I feel like one of the biggest things that I would try to be figuring out is like security of the space, right? Because like, I'm sure it's probably people get 24-hour access to the building. Maybe they don't, but like, I'm assuming like if you have like tattoo artists and salon, I'm sure the hours are all over the place.
Yeah, so the hours are all over the place. Initially, I didn't want to be 24 hours just for the security. We have a security system where all of the doors are locked and coded. Only members have access to them. But we do a background check before anybody gets a code to the back door. So it's 24 hours for anybody who's gone through that background check.
Have you ever heard of Venture X? Have you ever heard of that?
Yes.
Have you ever been to one before?
No.
So I went to one. They're all over Denver. They'll probably eventually be in the Springs.
Mm-hmm.
They're like super high end very high end co-working spaces. And like I did like a free day. I was up there working, so I was like, oh, I'll just rent it out and work out of here for the day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did that. I don't know if I caught them on a different time. I'm not gonna say which location Venture X, but it's kind of funny because I kind of caught them during some kind of corporate thing, or like the owner from all of them was there. But like they didn't even really show me around, and I kind of got access to the whole thing. And then like I was working away in one of these booths, and then it was like 6 o'clock, and I walk out, and it was this past Friday, and there was no one there. And I was like, holy crap, I could just like run amok in this place and no one, like I didn't even know they were gone or anything like that. So again, very easily, like when you have a big co-working area, this was 3 floors in the Denver Tech Center. It was huge. Yeah, I don't know what happened there or who dropped what ball or whatever, but it's kind of funny to think about that. You're like, man, like I have access to all their computers, like just sitting out in the open and all this stuff. So it's kind of interesting at scale for a co-working space. Like how do you do that, you know?
That was actually something I noticed. I went and snooped at all of the co-working spaces before starting this one. And a lot of them didn't have anybody at the front desk. There was nobody there to greet you, nobody there to show you around. It was very empty, and it didn't always feel very welcoming. Granted, there are a few that were very nice. All of the spaces are nice. I don't want to talk bad about the other co-working spaces, but that's something I really wanted to get a receptionist in as soon as possible. So now we have somebody that can bring your guest back to the conference room and greet everyone, and it feels very professional and welcoming. It's not just this is an empty office building, I don't know where to go or who to talk to. There's always somebody there to help you.
That's what we need.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying that's what we need as a city, right? Like we're a growing city. We need to have that level of professionalism for a lot of the folks that, you know, these emerging leaders and entrepreneurs, you know, they're transcending to those roles. So they're going to have bigger clients they bring into these spaces. It's important for us to have that level of different kind of co-working space, all the way from the lax ones to the ones that are like professional. Like you can bring a client in there, have a corporate meeting or whatever it might be. So that's great that you noticed that as an opportunity for you guys. Is all I was making mention to. I didn't want to interrupt you, but
no, you're good. No, I was just thinking how it's interesting. It's like, it's a culture of trust in a lot of ways. And it's cool how good humanity can be if you let it, you know, if you give it a chance, you know. It's like when eBay first came around, people were like, no one's going to trust you giving your credit card online through like, it was like a very taboo, weird thing at the time. And then like, it actually became something that just worked. and it works really well. It's like there's actually a very small percentage of where like bad stuff happens, and like you could imagine that with like co-working. I'm thinking that like you're trusting is like here. I don't ever see a reception. We also come during like later in the evening, but like there's a spot for a receptionist, but I don't see it. And this is literally the National Cybersecurity building. So it's like. So it's like there's like in like when you go through the other rooms and like other co-working places, even WeWork, I've been like when I go through them, it's crazy how good people are just by default.
Yeah. I think if you give people the opportunity and almost a sense of ownership in the building, everybody wants to take care of it. Everybody helps out. Everybody brings in coffee for people. Everybody like, they'll take out the trash if it gets too full before the end of the night if they throw away something and the cleaners haven't come yet. So I think there's a sense of ownership in the building where everybody helps out, which is really, really nice.
For sure. And then like there's a company like, I don't know, like I think it's one of the big bucks like Texas store like HEB, but they do the same thing you do with the honor system for the festival. Marcus just trusts people to be like, if you're in the military, you know.
Oh yeah, for ticket sales.
Yeah. It's like, you know, it's that honor system, and it's crazy how well the honor system actually works, even in 2024.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. If you're going to pretend you're a military folk to get like a $2 discount for a festival, that's kind of a bigger problem than us losing the $2. Exactly. But for my tiny house festival, he's mentioning that like I offer a military discount for folks and senior discount too. We don't even check ID for that either. But you're right. It's so interesting. I mean, I know there's been issues, but like think about Uber. Like I remember like when Uber was coming out, I was like, there's no way in hell it's going to work. Someone's going to mess up something for everybody. Someone's going to be a serial killer. I mean, that actually ended up happening in some instances, but by and large, like it works. It works really well. And so it's cool, especially when you're harvesting community, you know, it's just something to be said about being an entrepreneur. It's very isolating. And the first thing you realize is like, you have all these things you got to do. You're overwhelmed and you have no one to talk to in the very beginning, right? Before you meet other entrepreneurs, then you can be like, oh, dude, I did that. Year one, I get it. Like, and then you start harvesting camaraderie and all these different things. It can be very lonely. So like for me, even 10 years ago, I was seeking out a co-working space because I was so lonely in what I was doing. And back then there was only Epicentral off of Tejon right there. There's one called like Enclave. And I think there was like the only two like back then. And it was so cool because I was younger and they would do like pitch nights and they would have like a free pizza and a keg. I'm like, 1, a keg, 2, pizza, 3. This is like the coolest thing. I was so excited. I couldn't even like contain myself how cool that was to be around other people who thought the same way as me. I didn't feel as alone or isolated with it. So do you see those types of instances too as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think especially after COVID, a lot of people felt very isolated, and it gives everyone a chance to get out of your house and talk to someone other than your wife or your husband about your problems that you're facing. And then it's other people that have been through the same thing. So everybody kind of has a piece of advice, or maybe it's something that you don't want to deal with and you can pass off to someone else in the space and support their business. But it's been a very helpful community as a whole.
Oh, that's the best.
Yeah.
I know for even him and I, sometimes we'll voice some of our whatever it might be. And like for him, I don't know if it works for him, but for me, like if I'm asking something or just complaining to him about something, he doesn't have to have the solution for me. I just want to say it and for someone to listen. It's like a sounding board kind of thing, you know? Yeah. I think that's how entrepreneurs work. Like I know there's plenty of times he voices me some concerns he has, and I'm like, I don't know how to solve that issue either. But I feel like we help each other just by listening to one another.
Yeah, a lot of times it's not about having a solution. Sometimes all I need is just a fire emoji.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
That's all I need sometimes.
I'll remember that.
Yeah. Write down the tombstone, dude.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, this has been awesome, Kaitlyn.
Thank you.
That's your camera right there. Tell us where to find you.
My name is Kaitlyn. You can find me at 3Cubed on Instagram, 3Cubed Coworking on Facebook. We're right off of Pikes Peak if you want to come in and say hi, take a look at the space. It's much prettier than we're able to describe. And yeah, come see us on Wednesdays for a free workspace.
It's a great spot. It's close to downtown. It's right.
But we also have our own parking lot, so you don't have to try to find parking downtown.
Yeah. Which is good because that's a big gripe that people have around downtown.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, this has been the COS Business Podcast, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Oh yeah, don't forget to check out my tour dates.
I was shocked. I was like, am I missing something? I didn't do my research. He looks like it with the chain.
Oh yeah. I gotta